Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle, the wrestling video podcast here on YouTube. And you know what, just getting around all the other introductions and everything in that sense, we'll go right into it today. It is going to be, this episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle is going to focus around WWE NXT from July 19th, 2017, and I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty good show. This was this one had a lot of a lot of really good matches inside of them. Not necessarily the longest time, like the longest matches in general, but some really good ones, hard hitting ones within the entire hour that you watch. They started off the show with Ember Moon versus Ruby Riot, and these two, they put on a really good match. It was it looked hard hitting throughout the entire time. It was fast paced. There was really no complaints about this match. It was just a really good match, and it was almost to the levels that you would expect from a takeover match, but it was here on the actual main show, which is something you don't typically get to see as often anymore as you used to back in the earlier day, or back in the days before a lot of the takeovers had happened. You'd seen matches like this kind of happen more often, and it was a nice way to start off the show, and it came off really good. Ember Moon goes over in the end with the Eclipse after going through a few sequences of trying to hit the move, but didn't get it, and then looking like Ruby Riot was gonna take over, and then Ember Moon goes through this like strike brigade, which eventually leads her to hitting the Eclipse and win the match. After this, you had a couple of backstage, like one video package for one of the new tag teams that's called Street Profit. I know Angelo Dawkins is one of the guys. I don't know the other one. The stuff that they've been showing over the last couple weeks, interesting stuff. They're kind of out there type stuff. They're not necessarily, they're coming off as the most serious or anything in that sense type of team, but they're kind of out there, and it looks like they're going to be doing something with them here in the very near future. I don't know if it's going to be within the next couple weeks or if it's going to be something that they do after TakeOver. We'll see how everything goes. And then after this, we had one of those backstage segments with Cassius Ohno talking about everything with that's been going on recently, like his recent run, how everything was different from the first time that he was in NXT. He started talking about that. Hideo Itami storms in and basically said, "Did you request a match between the both of us?" It's like, yeah. And he basically just like casually says like, "Hey, I said I was going to take action, and I took action. We're going to have a match next week." And basically, Itami storms off kicking a garbage can to go along with it. So we have a Hideo Itami versus Cassius Ohno match next week. That should be an interesting one. I think that will actually be pretty good. Interesting that they did not save it for TakeOver. Maybe they will be doing another one at TakeOver. Who knows? But we're going to see that next week and see how everything goes and where they're going to be going with everything. On that side of the feud. Up next, though, was ONeal going up against Birch, and this match did not last long, but it was a very hard-hitting one. They had some interesting spots in there. It was like just stiff spots. Again, ONeal does that bit where he grabs the person by the chin and just starts smacking the crap out of them each time, like stiff smacks to the face. You also had a very interesting looking powerbomb. It was just a match that it's like these two guys were going out there and just it looked like they were beating the crap out of each other the entire time. I'm not saying it was bad by any stretch of the imagination. It just looked stiff and it looked really good. Again, Danny Birch in this match. So the last time we saw ONeal around, he had essentially busted Hideo Itami's nose, and he kind of does that again here with Danny Birch. The match ends with ONeal going over with a single leg Boston Crab, and then they both have a stare down. They shake hands, and then Danny Birch says, "Hey, one more time." And ONeal agrees, of course, with the crowd going like, "Yeah, do this one more time. We like it. We like what you're doing here." in this match. So again, another really good match here from something on NXT, and especially with ONeal Orchid. He brings it like that different style to a WWE side. It's a little bit different, and it plays off a strong style a little bit more than anything else. It's just like he goes out there and he just gives you stiff shots throughout the entire match. It's interesting to see that being done on anything WWE versus where you would probably see this a little bit more in the independent scene to go along with it. So, up next, before they had the main event tonight, which was the #1 contendership match with Drew McIntyre and Killian Dane, they had No Way Jose going up against Cesaro Banani. This was a really quick match with No Way Jose going over. But they had kind of telegraphed where they were going with this, because they had shown from what happened 2 months ago where Cesaro Banani beat Andrade Cien Almas in a match, and he was having that match with No Way Jose. So after the match, when No Way Jose had won, he did it with that lift up, the lift up and then punch finish. He really doesn't have anything for it, right? It doesn't have a name for it right now. But after that match, really quick match, nothing really special to talk about there. Of course, No Way Jose is celebrating. Andrade Cien Almas comes in and he attacks Banani inside the ring while No Way Jose is at the top of the ramp. He calls down No Way Jose, who charges the ring, and then Andrade Cien Almas leaves and basically, I guess, is setting up a feud. It was him with Thea Trinidad. They don't have her. I think she has a new name, but they haven't said it on NXT television yet. So they're trying. I guess they're waiting on that one. So we'll just go with Thea Trinidad for now. In that sense, and she was basically saying it's like, no, on our time, not on your time. Typical stuff. Nothing too bad there. It'll be interesting to see where they go with this and where they go with Andrade Cien Almas, with Thea Trinidad being, I guess, in his corner for the time being here. So this leads us to the Drew McIntyre Killian Dane match, and again, another good match here. Like I said, we had 3 pretty good matches. They weren't like the longest in length, but they were just really good matches to watch. This was another good one. Both guys kind of, again, going out there and almost having somewhat of a slugfest, but they also had, even though in losing, they built Killian Dane up as this guy who takes a lot. And I liked how the end of the match ended out being, especially with Drew McIntyre's facials towards Killian Dane. He hits the Future Shock DDT, and Killian Dane kicks out at 1, and Drew McIntyre just gives that look of amazement and shock. And it doesn't look like he was just overdoing it. It just looked like he was like, wait a minute, you just kicked out of that at 1. And then he goes for the Claymore kick, which he hits. And Killian Dane essentially no-sells it, as playing it off as like they're playing off it takes a lot to put him down in that one. So he was so Drew McIntyre, again, kind of in shock and awe. It's like, wait a minute, that didn't work. And then you have Killian Dane's like, come on, do it again. And then it's like doing the like daring him to try again, or it's like he couldn't defend himself, but he was still going, so he's telling him to finish him off, kind of thing. Drew then hits the Claymore one more time and gets the victory off of that. So, not gonna lie, pretty good match, and we have a new #1 contender with Drew McIntyre. So it looks like it's gonna be him and Bobby Roode for TakeOver. And yeah, there you go. You finally get something more with Drew McIntyre. Like, since he had come back in, he had kind of just been doing matches. Nothing much. Having good matches for the most part, but just having matches, not having a feud. Now he kind of has a feud, and maybe they could do something with Killian Dane down the road as well with that on that side of everything to go along with it. So overall, this episode of NXT was a really good one. It was a very enjoyable NXT to watch compared to where SmackDown was that I just reviewed. I really didn't care much for SmackDown. But NXT I ended up really liking. NXT's, like, for the aspect of the wrestling that I watch in the terms of the reviews, NXT is probably the easiest one to watch out of all of them. Raw's been getting better recently. Impact's been pretty good, though there's some news reports going out there. I don't know if there's any truth to them, how the new contracts are going with GFW, and they are not favorable to people who want to kind of support that product. In the terms of what they do with wrestlers and everything in that sense. I don't know if they're actually true, so I'm not going to actually say what they are here. And SmackDown has been good for the most part over the last year. It's kind of been on a little bit of a downturn recently, and we'll see if it ends up getting any better down the line here as well. But yeah, NXT, out of all the wrestling that I watch in the terms of reviews, probably the easiest one to watch at this point in time. So yeah. That's pretty much everything I have on NXT this week. So, with that being said, guys, I thank you guys for tuning into another episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle. I thank you guys for watching, and have a great day.